everyone, Crystal Marshall here. Today we're going to talk about why I homeschool and why I think it's important for my family and what we are doing. Alright, so in 2013 my husband got a job as a youth pastor at a local church in this area, and his schedule started to get really busy. So lots of night meetings, meetings with students, hanging out with students, events. About once or twice a month he'll travel on the weekends. So he actually got to have Fridays off, and he got to take half day on Wednesday. So those are the most random times to have days off, okay? Especially when you have a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So we had to make a decision. So early on when he got this job, I think my daughter was 2.5, we started playing around with the idea, thinking of the idea of homeschooling and what that would look like. I already have my master's education. I already have my teacher's license, which in the state of Virginia, you don't need to have those things. The state of Virginia is actually one of the most accepting states in the country for homeschooling, for those that didn't know. Before I kind of talk about my story, let me just touch on that real quick. So in order to homeschool in the state of Virginia, you need to have at least a 12th grade diploma, and you need to have some kind of curriculum or some type of plan. They're not really strict about what you learn, but you need to have a letter every year written to the state of Virginia, like their superintendent, what you're going to be learning, the subject areas, and kind of a general look about what your curriculum is going to look like. So they're very lenient about what you're supposed to do. At the end of the year, unless you claim religious exemption, which I do not because I want to have testing, but if you do claim religious exemption, you don't need to have testing. But I wanted to have a testing, I wanted to have record for homeschooling. You just are required to take, they have like a whole list of 20 or 25 different tests that you can pick from. So we do this test called California Achievement Test, and it's an online time test that you take, and they give you the answers. They give you the results right then within 20 or so minutes of you taking the test. So that's kind of what we do. Okay, so let me go back into my story. So when he got this job, it was a lot of nights and weekends. It was a lot of very sporadic scheduling. Okay, so when I already stay at home with my children, I work from home, but it's a very part-time basis doing photography and graphic design. And so it's just whenever I'm free, whenever my husband can watch the kids. So I'm very flexible on my schedule as well. So we decided to homeschool because that way we would have lots of time together. We didn't want to have a situation that we needed to travel, we needed to go, me going to a job or my husband traveling, and we couldn't have the flexibility to say, okay, let's take Thursday off, hang out with Dad before he goes on a trip all weekend. So that's why we decided to homeschool. It's been the greatest learning curve and the greatest experiment for us. We both grew up in the public school system, my husband and I have my license in public education. So this was a really interesting conversation that I was having with my parents, who partially paid for my undergrad and paid for my master's. And I had to sit down with them and say, all right, so I'm going to be staying home and not make any money from what you wanted me to do and you paid for me to do in my education degree, but I'm going to stay home and be a photographer, which I didn't go to school for, and homeschool. And they're like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't, but I'm going to love it. So that was kind of the decision process we had to make. We just wanted to spend lots of time. We love our Fridays together as a family. We could just go to the beach. Nobody's there. We know all the local spots that are free parking. If we want to take a random zoo trip on a Tuesday, I can take the kids, or, Andrew can get off in the morning and then work late into the night and do meetings. So we just love the flexibility. We love how we make homeschooling a very natural process. We don't have a sit-down, very, hardcore sit-down time. We do it throughout the day. As we're driving to a place, we're talking about our town. We're talking about how historical Virginia is, how it has Williamsburg, it has Jamestown, it has Yorktown, it has Charlottesville, it has, half of the battles of the Civil War was done in Virginia. So it's a very historic state. And we talk about those things, and we get books from the library. We go to the library every week and we literally check out 50 books. Like, the lady at the counter knows me by name, and she knows me by, I'm the book lady, okay? I have, each kid has a backpack filled with books. Like, I am that hardcore about books. We go to Barnes & Noble as a field trip. It's like, go pick out a book. I put books in the treasure box. Okay, I just love books. Okay. But we just love the ability to have that quality time with our kids. When I was growing up, I was in sports so much. I did sports 6 a.m. in the morning. I ran 6 miles for the basketball team. Then I went to school. And then I did marching band in the afternoon. Then I had a private music lesson. And then I did, softball training or something at night. So I wasn't home until 10 o'clock at night. And this was my entire middle school and high school. I did not sit down and eat with my family. I did not have any weekend. We didn't go on any vacations. We didn't go on any trips when I was in high school because we did so many sports, so many tournaments, so many traveling. And I just didn't want that for my kids. I wanted to have a Saturday morning that we're just lazy in bed. I love that we can just go, let's just go to Home Depot and talk about tools, whatever. We just make everything a trip. We make everything special. And that's the beauty of having this mentality of homeschooling. It's not just a 9 to 2 thing. It's an all day. It's an everyday thing. We're reading constantly. We're writing constantly. Every time we're making something, half cup of sugar plus a half cup of flour. What does that mean? How many cups do we need? So we're constantly talking about things. We're making it a natural and organic process. And that's why I love homeschooling. And for those that had questions about that, I get a lot of questions like, what does that look like for me? And how can I homeschool in the state of Virginia? And if you need any help with that, you can comment below and I can give you some website resources about that. If you want to commit to homeschooling, it is a lifestyle. It is a commitment. Okay, so if you want to commit, have your kids around you all the time and never get a break, have them climb on you, and you make everything a lesson, then awesome. Power to you. Join the homeschooling underground in Virginia. But you can follow me at Chica Marsh, Instagram, see my crazy life. You can follow me at, I'm trying to find the, right here, Facebook, marshallartstudio, or you can follow me on Twitter, Martial Arts. And again, this is Crystal Marshall. Have an awesome day and peace out.